Well, blessed Monday to you as we come with your daily encouragement. And we are still continuing in Revelation 18. We're going to be going through probably verses 11, 12, and 13 today. And we talked about the rulers who are influenced by the whore Babylon, who has now been destroyed. And they are, of course, in torment. But we also need to talk about the merchants because next to the rulership of countries, it's usually the economy that people start to worry about. And so the merchants are wondering what their next step is. And so it says in verse 11, and the merchants of the earth weep and mourn for her, since no one buys their cargo anymore. They're mourning for her because she was their protector. And, many ways, the statue of the god or goddess of the place, like Athena or others, would have been like how we honor the Statue of Liberty, but even more so. If offerings were offered to the Statue of Liberty or something, and then they would have more of an idea of how important this deity was. And when it's gone, they wondered about whether their economy would survive. Cargo of gold, silver, jewels, and pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet, all kinds of scented wood, all articles of ivory, all articles of costly wood, bronze, iron, and marble. Verse 13, cinnamon, spice, incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, olive oil, choice flour, and wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, chariots, slaves, and last but not least, human lives. We might ask, why so many things? Well, how many things are in our economy? We'd probably have even a more exhaustive list than that. But the key word that's building up in this description is the most valuable of all of them are human lives, and especially human souls created in the image of God. But a lot of times, what happens is we sell our souls or sell our loyalties to things that are inanimate, things that are maybe demonic, that are going against the will of God. And so we're reminded here of what is most valuable: human lives. And really, that's the importance of economy, of having the resources so that you can have enough to live and to have your dinners or your suppers, etc. All of those are reminders that the most valuable thing of all, and the most valuable thing that the whore of Babylon distorted, was the value of human life. But we believe, and the author here who has seen this vision, John the Revelator, also believes that that has been restored by the Lamb who was slain, has been restored by the Lamb who will bring justice to those who were tormented by the woman of Babylon, the one who allowed there to be lions' dens and other types of things that persecuted godly people. Whether we go back to the history of the people of the Old Testament or our own history, it is a reminder that we need to value human lives above all else. And that is the reason for this judgment against her. Now, many people rightfully, I think in some cases, are queasy about the book of Revelation, and I would say even parts of the Old Testament, because it just seems at some point that God is not valuing the human life that he purports to value, especially the battles where one is favored versus another, the many skirmishes that take place. All of those are examples of God's judgment against a certain people who do not hold, at the very end, human lives. Now, there are other ones that says chariots, human bodies, and souls as an alternative reading, but I think it still stresses the same thing. What comes at the end is the value of human life. And it is for that that God is actually acting out in justice and judgment. Let's go on to verse 14, just because that might be a nice end to this whole thing. It says in a verse form, the fruit for which your soul longed has gone from you, and all your dainties and your splendors are lost to you, never to be found again. Now, who is it saying, the Lord saying that, or who is the angel making judgment upon that? Well, first of all, it's the whore Babylon, but it is also the merchants who were in line with the whore. It's the kings and queens who are also in line with them. What did they value? They valued things rather than souls. The fruit for which your soul longed has gone from you. Now, we just had our Bible verse last Ash Wednesday, specifically saying, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And it's kind of an open-ended question. Because if your treasure is on the things of this life, the things that are passing away, even the securities by which you maybe physically live by, maybe we have pride in that. That's okay to have some pride that we're able to manage our affairs okay financially. But we have to remember that ultimately, all of them are as worthless as the paper and the metal that they're made from. They cannot serve any practical function besides just being a credit to whatever the value of the coin is. Now, it used to be that when people actually got coins, they got gold coins or they got silver coins. But now we live in a world where it's the imprint that's on it that is as valuable or even more valuable than the actual metal that they're made from. Good grief, how long has it been that they made pennies from actual copper? I remember as a coin collector that when they switched to zinc, they made it out of a different metal that had a different value to it because it wasn't so much the material itself. It was what was written on there, that it was truly part of the wealth of the nation that we live. And of course, even that, we could get into a discussion about the gold standard, which we haven't had since 1974, where our financials are backed up by whatever was at Fort Knox and things like that. But even with that backup, the only thing of value is the things of God. And that's why human lives are number one. And that's why the value of a soul that the Lord of the universe wants to be in right relationship with. Why the ministry of what we do as people of God is far more valuable than any of the things we could collect, the places we could collect, the influence that we could collect. It is God that's number one. And it is shown now with the merchants and the kings, when the whore Babylon is gone, that all those things are of no value anymore, except for what God values, a life that is turned towards Him. God bless you today. We trust that these continue to be words of encouragement. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.